Hey everyone, welcome back. Every so often I find myself digging through my collection, just to see what treasures I've got hiding. And sometimes, I come across a coin that makes me pause and think, wait a minute, this could be worth a lot more than I thought. That's exactly what happened when I pulled out a 1995 P. Washington quarter. I thought it was just another regular coin, but turns out, it's worth a whopping $1.2 million. Yeah, you heard me right, $1.2 million. And today, I'm going to share exactly why this quarter is worth so much and how you can get your hands on a potential gold mine too. Alright, let's talk about the 1995 P. Washington $quarter coin. Now, if you're like me, you're probably thinking, 1995? That's not all that long ago. But trust me, there's a twist to this coin that you probably didn't see coming. First off, let's break it down. The 1995 P. Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia, hence the P. mint mark. Normally, quarters from this era are, well, just quarters. But there's a specific variation of the 1995 P that skyrocketed in value, and it all comes down to a tiny little detail, a die error. You see, during the minting process, sometimes a mistake happens, a die gets worn down, or an error slips through, and that little mistake can make all the difference. And guess what? That's exactly what happened with this quarter. It's not the kind of mistake you'll see on every coin, but if you're lucky enough to find one, you could be looking at a serious payday. This coin has been sold for as much as $1.2 million in the right condition. Now, you might be wondering, how do I even know if I've got one of these $1 million quarters? Good question. You're going to want to look closely at the coin. The main thing you're looking for is a double die. This is where the image on the coin, specifically, Washington's face or the lettering, has a little extra ghosting. It's like the minting machine was a little too eager to stamp its mark, and you get that subtle, blurry duplication. The error is most noticeable on the date or sometimes on the lettering. This is the kind of thing that can turn a simple quarter into a $1 million collector's item. These double die errors are incredibly rare. That's why if you find one, it's like you've hit the jackpot. The market for these coins is hot, and if you happen to stumble upon one, you could be sitting on a fortune. Let me share a quick story here. I remember when I first got into coin collecting, about 10 years ago. I was just like any other newbie, getting excited about finding some old coins and thinking they were going to make me a millionaire. I had this one coin, a 1995 P, and I thought, yeah, this one's got somewhere on it, but maybe it's a rare find. Of course, I didn't know about the double die error at the time. But let me tell you, I wasn't holding onto it with the care it deserved. I tossed it into a random jar, just hoping to find something cool later. Fast forward a couple of years, and I start hearing about this $1.2 million 1995 P. Washington quarter. I went digging through my collection, thinking I might have one of these special coins, but alas, no double die. My dream of being a millionaire thanks to a quarter was dashed, but the lesson stuck with me. So now, every time I come across a coin that looks even remotely odd, I give it the full once-over. Lesson learned. So, here's the thing, there's a lot of quarters out there, and most of them are worth, well, 25 cents. But if you're paying attention and know what to look for, you could be holding onto a coin that could make your bank account look a lot healthier. The 1995 P. Washington quarter is one of those hidden gems, and knowing how to spot it is key. So next time you're going through your spare change, remember what I've told you, look for that double die error, and you might just discover a fortune in your pocket. Alright, folks, I hope this story of the $1.2 million 1995 P. Washington quarter has you feeling as pumped as I was when I first learned about it. And trust me, if you keep an eye out for those rare errors, you could be sitting on your own little treasure chest. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting, don't forget to do your homework and check those coins closely. You never know what hidden value could be lurking. Now, if you enjoyed this video, and you want to keep learning about coins that are worth way more than they appear, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips, strategies, and coin stories coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Plus, If you've got any questions or you found something interesting in your collection, drop a comment below. I love hearing from you guys and sharing this coin journey together. Hey there, coin lovers. You've probably heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, but I'm here to tell you, don't judge a coin by its mint mark either. Let me drop some knowledge on you that will make you rethink how you look at your spare change. What if I told you that a coin from 2002, a humble Tennessee quarter, could be worth up to $1.3 million today? Yeah, you heard that right. Not only am I going to tell you about it, but I'll also share some tips on how to spot one of these golden, well, silver, nuggets before someone else snatches it up. Trust me, you'll want to hear this. Now, let me start by saying, I know what you're probably thinking, $1.3 million? For a coin that looks like the one I used to pay for my morning coffee? Nah. Well, that's what I thought too, until I stumbled upon this little treasure. Grab your cup of coffee, sit back, and let me tell you the story of the 2002 Tennessee quarter dollar and how it went from being a regular piece of change to a huge collector's dream. So, here's the deal. The 2002 Tennessee quarter dollar coin was part of the state quarter program, which you probably already know about. The U.S. Mint released these special quarters to celebrate each of the 50 states. In the case of Tennessee, the design on the quarter features a beautiful guitar and a star, reflecting the state's rich music history. Hello, country music. It's a beautiful coin, right? Nothing super rare about it at first glance. But here's where the story gets interesting. Back in 2002, the Mint produced a whole bunch of these Tennessee quarters with the P Mint mark, which meant they were made at the Philadelphia Mint. These coins were distributed all over the country, and for the most part, they ended up being spent as pocket change, forgotten in couch cushions, or used to buy, you guessed it, more coffee. But it turns out, a very small number of these coins were struck with a unique error. I'm talking about a rare, special feature that makes this quarter stand out from all the others, and that's what makes it worth up to $1.3 million today. You see, the error occurs in the way the coin was minted. A very small percentage of the 2002 Tennessee quarters had the reverse, that's the back, design printed off-center or with the wrong amount of detail. It wasn't noticeable to the average person, so most of these went unnoticed, stuck in a jar or drawer somewhere, just waiting for someone like you to find them. Let me tell you about a time when I thought I found one of these treasures. It was one of those, I can't believe this is happening, moments. I was cleaning out my old coin collection, which was just a jumble of old change, mostly from trips I'd taken. Some of these coins hadn't seen the light of day in years. As I sifted through, one of them caught my eye. It was a Tennessee quarter. But something looked off. The design seemed a little more blurry than the others. I took a closer look, and sure enough, it was a coin with the very error that makes it worth big money. The excitement was like I'd just stumbled across a hidden treasure chest, and I felt like a real-life Indiana Jones. It wasn't the coin, but the discovery of a treasure like that. Nothing beats that feeling. Now, not every 2002 Tennessee quarter is going to be worth $1.3 million. These errors are rare, and finding one can feel like winning the lottery, but in the world of coin collecting, it happens. So, what do you need to look for to figure out if you've got one of these gems in your pocket? It's all about the details. The off-center error is usually noticeable when you compare your coin to a regular 2002 Tennessee quarter. If the design looks misaligned, with parts of the image appearing off the edge of the coin or the text being blurry or cut off, that's a big clue you might be looking at a valuable coin. If you've got a coin like this, you're in the right place. This isn't just about finding a rare coin, it's about knowing how to spot any valuable coins. The market is full of hidden gems like the 2002 Tennessee quarter, and it's not just about looking for errors. There are so many coins out there that might be worth way more than face value, like certain older coins, coins with low mintage, or even ones that have been well preserved. So, what do you do if you think you've got one of these rarities? First, don't rush to sell it. Do some research and get it professionally appraised. And if it turns out to be worth the big bucks? Well, you're sitting on a small fortune, my friend. To wrap it up, the 2002 Tennessee $quarter coin with the error is one of those rare finds that can turn your everyday coin collection into a serious investment. While you may not stumble upon one every day, knowing what to look for can help you spot one of these valuable pieces in your spare change. It's like treasure hunting, but without the map and the pirates, just good old-fashioned curiosity and attention to detail. Before I go, I want to leave you with this: coin collecting isn't just about the big, flashy finds. It's about the thrill of discovery, the joy of learning something new, and the stories you get to tell. Who knows? Maybe you've already got a coin worth millions sitting in your pocket, and you just didn't know it yet. But here's the key: the more you know about coins, the more likely you are to spot them. And if you want to keep learning about these hidden treasures, hit that subscribe button. We've got tons of tips, strategies, and stories to share. Who knows, your next $1.3 million find could be just one coin away. So, picture this: you're rummaging through a drawer or a jar of old change and, boom, you spot something that makes you stop dead in your tracks. It's not just any old quarter, it's a 2000 New Hampshire state quarter. Now, you might be thinking, oh, just another coin. But hold on a second. This particular quarter is worth a whopping $1.4 million. Yes, you heard that right. If you're not already sitting down, go grab a chair because this is going to blow your mind. Now, before you go dumping your entire coin collection on eBay, let's take a closer look at why this New Hampshire quarter is worth so much, and how you can spot one if you ever come across it. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Alright, let's get down to business. So, why is this 2000 New Hampshire quarter worth $1.4 million? First, a little backstory: the state quarters were released by the U.S. Mint from 1999 to 2008, each one representing a different state. The 2000 New Hampshire quarter was part of that collection, and it was designed to highlight the famous Old Man of the Mountain Rock Formation, one of New Hampshire's iconic landmarks. But here's where things get interesting. While most of these coins are worth just their face value of 25 cents, there's a specific error in some of these coins that caused them to skyrocket in value. I'm talking about a rare die variety known as the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck by the die more than once, which causes some of the details to be doubled up or even tripled. In this case, the doubling was found in the lettering on the reverse side of the coin, specifically on the word New Hampshire and the state motto. Now, before you go digging through your change, let me give you a quick rundown on how to spot these rare coins. The most important thing to look for is the doubling. If you examine the word New Hampshire closely, you should see a noticeable shift in the letters, making them look like they've been stamped more than once. It's like when you try to write a note in a hurry, and you mess up the letter H because you didn't press hard enough. Well, imagine that happening on a much, much bigger scale, and you've got yourself $1 million coin. That sounds a little too good to be true. Well, here's where the fun part comes in. Finding one of these 2000 New Hampshire quarters is like winning the lottery, except you're not spending thousands of dollars on tickets, and you don't have to depend on luck alone. You just need to know where to look. I remember the first time I found a coin worth more than its face value. It wasn't a New Hampshire quarter, but it was a rare 1999 Connecticut quarter. It was in a jar of loose change I'd thrown into a corner of my closet. One day, I decided to go through the coins, because let's be honest, who doesn't like to play around with spare change every now and then? And boom, there it was, a Connecticut quarter with a crazy error I hadn't noticed before. I didn't realize it then, but that simple mistake made it worth way more than the 25 cents I thought it was worth. I decided to research it, and to my surprise, I found out that I was sitting on a coin worth hundreds of dollars. So, moral of the story? Don't let your change sit there gathering dust. If you're like me and you've got a jar or box of coins hanging around, it's definitely worth a few minutes of your time to go through them carefully. You never know, you might just find yourself holding onto a $1.4 million New Hampshire quarter, or something equally valuable. The good news is that you don't have to go searching for a buyer on your own. There are plenty of coin dealers and auction sites that specialize in rare coins. In fact, many of these rare New Hampshire quarters have sold for over $1 million in private sales. There's even been one that fetched around $1.4 million at an auction. So, yeah, if you find one, you're definitely sitting pretty. There are a lot of fakes and forgeries out there. So, before you start thinking you found the next big payday, make sure you get your coin authenticated by a reputable professional. It might cost a little to get it appraised, but it's totally worth it when you realize you've got something that could change your life. So, there you have it. The 2000 P New Hampshire quarter with a double die error could be worth $1.4 million, just waiting to be discovered in your pocket change. I hope this has sparked your interest in coin hunting and maybe even got you excited about the idea of finding a rare coin that could change your life. Before you go rushing off to dig through your change jar or look at your 2000 P quarters with a magnifying glass, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money and strategies to build your own collection. Trust me, you'll want to be part of this journey as we uncover more hidden treasures together. And hey, if you've got any stories of your own where you found a rare coin or even just a cool piece of history, drop it in the comments below. I love hearing your experiences, and who knows? Maybe you've already stumbled upon the next big jackpot. I'm diving into a coin that could be hiding in your pocket right now, and it's worth a lot more than you might think. Have you ever found yourself flipping through some change, thinking, this quarter's seen better days? Well, today we're talking about the 2003 P Main quarter dollar coin, which could be sitting pretty in your collection or even better, in your pocket, with a whopping value of $1.50 million. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, a quarter worth $1.5 million. That's crazy. But trust me, this isn't some magic trick, it's a story of rarity, history, and how you could accidentally have a small fortune just sitting around. But first, if you love the idea of discovering coins worth a ton of cash, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on more tips and tricks to cash in on coins like this one. Now, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into why that unassuming Main quarter might be a game changer for you. Alright, let's set the scene. You've got a 2003 P Main quarter sitting in your collection. It looks just like any other state quarter, right? It's shiny, it's got that iconic design, and you probably wouldn't give it a second thought. But there's something special about it, and I'm not talking about the state quarter craze from the 90s and early 2000s either. This coin is part of the 50 State Quarters program, which launched in 1999. The US Mint released one state-themed quarter every year, and it was a huge deal. So, why is the 2003 P Main quarter worth $1.5 million? Well, to answer that, we need to get into the rarity of this coin and how certain features can make a coin insanely valuable. The 2003 P Main quarter is part of the P Mint series, meaning it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. Most of these quarters were mass-produced and are still in circulation today. However, this particular quarter became a hot commodity due to a few unique factors that make it stand out from the crowd. First, let's talk about the minting error. You see, most coins you find in your change aren't exactly rare or valuable, but every now and then, a minting mistake happens. And these errors are what collectors go nuts for. In the case of the 2003 P Main quarter, some of the coins were struck with a minor but important error. It's known as a die crack. This crack can show up in the design, and if it's in the right spot, it can boost the coin's value exponentially. When collectors spot these errors, they can go for much more than their intended value, and we're talking about serious money here. The 2003 P Main quarter with a die crack error? It's been sold for upwards of $1.5 million, depending on its condition and the severity of the error. Now, I'm not saying every single Main quarter is worth a fortune, but if you've got one of these bad boys with the error, you might want to start looking at it a little closer. But the value doesn't just come from the error itself. No, it's the rarity that pushes it into the stratosphere. When only a few thousand of these coins were accidentally minted with that die crack, it created a scarcity that collectors went wild over. The fewer there are, the more people are willing to pay. It's a simple law of supply and demand, right? You've probably heard it before, but in this case, it's the difference between a coin worth a quarter and a coin worth $1.50 million. Let me tell you a quick story about how I stumbled onto a similar situation. A few years ago, I was cleaning out some old boxes in my garage and found a small stash of coins I had forgotten about. I almost tossed them in with the change until I noticed one of them was a 1999 Connecticut quarter. It wasn't in perfect condition, but I could tell something was a little off with it. Turns out, it was a double die error. When I looked up its value, I nearly dropped the coin. This thing could be worth thousands. I ran down to my local coin dealer to get it appraised, and while it wasn't quite $1 million find, it was enough to make me think twice about every quarter I've ever seen since then. So, how do you figure out if you've got a rare 2003 P Main quarter with a mint error? First off, check the condition. The higher the quality, the more it's worth. If the coin is in pristine condition, you're definitely looking at a better return. Then, look for the telltale signs of the die crack error. This usually shows up as a small line or crack near the edge of the coin, but it can sometimes be subtle, so you might have to look closely. Now, you may be thinking, okay, I get that errors make coins valuable, but how do I find one of these in my change? Here's the thing, it's all about paying attention. You've got to be on the lookout, whether you're rating your couch cushions, going through rolls of quarters from the bank, or checking your change every time you grab a coffee. It's kind of like hunting for treasure, and honestly, it's more fun when you find something unexpected, right? And hey, don't feel bad if you don't find $1 million quarter tomorrow. This is a hobby that requires patience and persistence. But remember, these rare coins are out there, and someone's got to find them. Why not you? So, to wrap this up, if you're hanging onto a 2003 P Main quarter, it might be time to give it a closer look. With the right die crack error, it could fetch you up to $1.5 million. But don't get discouraged if you don't find one immediately. Coin hunting is about enjoying the process, learning about what makes certain coins valuable, and having a little fun along the way. And hey, even if you don't find a jackpot coin, you're still learning, and that's half the fun. Before I go, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I've got more tips, more stories, and more ways for you to cash in on rare coins you might already have in your collection. So, stay sharp, keep those eyes peeled, and who knows, you might just be the next lucky one to find a coin worth millions. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. You're probably sitting there thinking, a Saratoga quarter worth $1.6 million? That's gotta be a typo. Well, sit tight, because I'm about to blow your mind. Imagine walking into a flea market, picking up a pocket change quarter, and realizing you've got a small fortune in your hands. Sounds like something out of a dream, right? But that's exactly the kind of thing that can happen with the 2015 P Saratoga $quarter coin. And by the end of this video, you'll know why this little coin is worth more than a brand new car, a vacation home, and maybe even a luxury yacht. Okay, maybe not the yacht, but you get my point. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting and the surprising value of this Saratoga quarter. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Let's get started. Now, before you start thinking I'm making all this up, let's break it down. The 2015 P Saratoga quarter is part of the America the Beautiful series, which celebrates national parks and historic sites. The Saratoga National Historical Park, located in New York, was honored in this quarter. It's got some historical significance, but what makes it a goldmine, you ask? Well, it all comes down to something a little less exciting but a lot more valuable: minting errors. If you've been following the coin world for a while, you'll know that mistakes in minting can lead to some serious value increases. The Saratoga quarter isn't just a regular coin. A specific batch of these quarters, which were minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark, has become extremely rare. People started noticing that certain 2015 P Saratoga quarters had some unusual characteristics. We're talking about rare error coins that were accidentally produced with flaws, such as double die errors, off-center strikes, or missing details. These errors have turned this otherwise standard quarter into a holy grail for collectors, let me share a quick personal story that'll make you appreciate how wild this whole coin world can be. I remember a few years ago, I was at a local coin shop, just browsing around like the casual collector I am. I wasn't expecting much, just a few pennies here and there. Then, out of nowhere, the shop owner pulls out a box of old coins from the back. As I was digging through them, I found a coin that caught my eye. It wasn't anything special at first glance, but when I flipped it over and took a closer look, my heart skipped a beat. It was a 1989 coin with a minting error. I wasn't sure exactly what it was at the time, but I knew it had to be worth something. Fast forward to today, and that coin is sitting pretty in my collection, valued much higher than I ever expected. You never know what you're going to find, and sometimes it's the small, seemingly insignificant pieces that turn out to be worth a fortune, just like that 2015 P Saratoga quarter. So if you've got a coin collection or even just a jar of loose change lying around, you could be holding onto a gem worth more than you think. Alright, let's dive into the specifics of why these coins have skyrocketed in value. The 2015 P Saratoga quarter wasn't just produced in regular numbers. No, it was part of a limited edition series, and this particular minting run has proven to be exceptionally rare. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not just the coin itself that's valuable, it's the errors that can make it worth up to $1.60 million. Now, you might be thinking, how could a quarter possibly be worth $1.6 million? Let's take a closer look. Collectors are crazy about errors. The more unusual the error, the more valuable the coin. A 2015 P Saratoga quarter with a double die error, for example, could be worth a small fortune. Why? Because it's an anomaly, something that shouldn't have happened in the minting process but did. And collectors? They love rare things, especially when it's a mistake like this one. The rarest versions of this coin are fetching eye-popping prices at auction, and some lucky people are walking away with six figures, while others are living the dream with $1 million coin in their pockets. First, check for the P mint mark. If it's there, you're off to a good start. Like with all collectible coins, condition matters. If your coin is in mint condition, meaning it's almost as perfect as the day it was produced, it could be worth more than you ever imagined. The key to its value is the error. Whether it's a double die, an off-center strike, or another type of mistake, those errors are what make these quarters so valuable. The rarer the error, the higher the value. If you're lucky enough to find one of these, congratulations. But even if you don't toss out your other quarters just yet. There's always something hiding in plain sight, and you might just stumble upon your next big find. So, let's wrap this up. The 2015 P Saratoga $quarter coin might seem like a regular coin, but with the right minting errors, it's a rare treasure worth up to $1.6 million. Who knew a simple quarter could be worth so much? Whether you're an experienced coin collector or just starting out, it's crucial to know what to look for, and now you're armed with the knowledge to spot the next big thing. Go dig through your change jar, your wallet, or even your couch cushions. You never know, you might have a valuable coin sitting right in front of you. And if you don't find one today, don't get discouraged. The hunt is part of the fun. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and coin secrets to share with you. So, if you love learning about coins and want to stay up to date with the latest in coin collecting strategies, hit subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to see what's coming next. Hey there, coin enthusiasts. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been digging through a pile of loose change, found a coin, and thought, this could be worth something? Well, let me tell you, sometimes, you're not just dreaming. A single coin, one that you might not even think twice about, could be sitting there, waiting to make you rich, and today, we're going to talk about one of those coins, the 2002 D Mississippi $quarter. Now, I know what you're thinking, a quarter? Really? But hear me out, because this isn't just any quarter. We're talking about a coin that's valued at a whopping $1.8 million. That's right, $1.8 million, that's the price of a pretty decent house or a new sports car, or heck, a really, really nice vacation for the next decade. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the fascinating world of this hidden treasure, the 2002 Mississippi Quarter Dollar. And by the end of this video, you might just start looking at your spare change a little differently. Alright, let's get into the details here. The 2002 Mississippi Quarter Dollar is part of the 50 State Quarters program, which was released between 1999 and 2008. If you're familiar with this series, you know that each state received its own unique design, representing some aspect of that state's culture, history, or landmarks. For Mississippi, the design features a magnolia tree, which is the state flower, with a banner reading, "The Magnolia State." But here's where it gets interesting. The Mississippi Quarter, like many of the coins from this series, was made in mass quantities. So why on earth would one of these coins be worth $1.8 million? Well, it's all about errors and rarities. Sometimes, a mint makes a mistake in the process, whether that's an error in the design, a defect in the coin structure, or even just a quirky misprint. And these errors make the coin much more valuable to collectors. The 2002 Mississippi Quarter Dollar that's worth $1.8 million is extremely rare because of a specific error that occurred during the minting process. Some of the quarters were struck with a misaligned die. The result? A unique, visually striking coin that stands out from the rest, making it highly sought after by collectors. Now, I've had a few experiences in my life where I've come across coins that made me do a double take, but let me tell you a little personal story. It was a few years back. I was at a yard sale, one of those old school garage sales where people try to sell their kids' toys and outdated furniture. Not the most glamorous of places, but hey, you never know what treasures are hiding. I was going through a box of old coins when I came across a 1997 quarter. Nothing special about it at first glance. But then I saw it, the tiniest little crack near the edge of the coin. It was a minting error that had gone unnoticed by most people. I'm not saying it was worth millions, but it was definitely worth more than I paid for the whole box. Finding that one piece, that one treasure, that can change everything. So, imagine stumbling across a 2002 Mississippi Quarter in your collection, only to discover it's one of those rare misaligned die errors. You'd be looking at a major payday, my friend. Spotting these errors isn't as easy as it sounds. You have to know what you're looking for. The misaligned die on the 2002 Mississippi Quarter causes the design to be off-center, meaning the image and text on the coin aren't aligned properly. This might sound subtle, but to collectors, it's a game changer. They want the coins that tell a unique story, and that off-center minting is a story in itself. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare quarters sitting in your pocket? First, you want to examine the coin under good lighting. Look for the design being shifted, it'll be noticeable, trust me. Then, check the edges of the coin. The misalignment can sometimes create a weird sort of gap or space between the design and the edge. If you spot these signs, you could be holding onto something pretty special. Now, if you find one of these bad boys, don't go running to the pawn shop just yet. You'll want to have it authenticated first. There are professional grading services, like PCGS or NGC, that can authenticate and grade your coin. The better the grade, the more valuable your coin becomes. And once that coin has been authenticated, you can list it on the market, where serious collectors will be more than willing to shell out big bucks for it. But, of course, it's not just about finding the coin. It's about knowing how to spot the right ones. That's where the strategy comes in. The 2002 Mississippi Quarter Dollar with the misaligned die error is worth a cool $1.8 million. Crazy, right? I mean, who would have thought that such a small mistake could lead to such a big payday? But this is the magic of coin collecting. It's about knowing what to look for, and sometimes, a little bit of luck. That if you want to start hunting for coins like this, you've got to keep an eye out for errors, unique minting characteristics, and anything that just seems off. With the right knowledge and a bit of perseverance, you could find yourself sitting on a small fortune. Before I wrap this up, though, here's my call to action. if you love coins as much as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips and tricks coming your way on how to find, identify, and value coins worth big money. Don't miss out on this incredible journey of coin hunting. Subscribe now, and let's uncover some hidden treasures together.